Coach, a 28-point win to start the conference play against Denver, and, of course, the favorite play out of the coach's playbook, the 13-0 start.
Yeah, we drew that one up well, didn't we? Yeah. Came out of the locker room and said, we've got to start fast. And that was a good start. But really, for us, we defended the tip and started on defense, got a stop, and actually the first 3 possessions, we turned them over. So we established ourselves on the defensive end right away. And
Madison McKeever really got off to a great start for you.
She really did. She actually, the first possession, we got a stop. We came down and we didn't score. They got a rebound, and then she picked off the pass. And that's how we got on the scoreboard the first time. She picked off the outlet pass in transition, scored a layup for us. And so now we got a little bit of confidence. And she started really fast. She hit some shots early in the game. She attacked the rim and really made her presence felt early on.
And shooting 75% in the first quarter helps, too.
Well, that's not a bad way to start. I thought our players did a really nice job of spacing the floor, and then Denver started the game by switching some screens. So we opened the lane up, and we were able to get the ball around the basket on some different cutting action.
And then you maintained your advantage, because usually you'd think that maybe there'd be a little bit of a lull. I know the shooting percentages dropped a little bit, but you didn't let them get back in it at any point.
Well, what was interesting is that the game before, when we played North Dakota, the game before Christmas, we started, after the first quarter, we were down 18 points. This time, we had a 15-point lead. So, a little Jekyll and Hyde for us. But at the same time, that Denver's going to make a run because they're a very, very talented team, very talented offensively. They averaged 9 made threes. We talked about that. So that they have the potential to start to light it up, which is exactly what they did in the second quarter.
And you forced 22 turnovers.
Well, and it's interesting because Denver's a team that doesn't typically turn the ball over very much. I think they average maybe 14 turnovers a game and, have basically like a 1-to-1 assist turnover ratio. And we did. We were able to get some pressure on them and turn them over, make things just to feel a little bit more sped up than maybe normal.
And Keira Duffy, quite a night. Her first career double-double, 10 of 12 from the floor, 24 points, 10 rebounds. She had some threes. I mean, she did a lot of different things for you that night.
She really played phenomenally well. She really did. She hit some shots. She hit some deep threes that you just think, well, are you supposed to guard her way out there? Because when you do, then she could put the ball on the floor and go around you. But defensively just made so many good things happen for us and finished with 8 defensive rebounds in that game. We had some stretches where our starting post kid, Kate Liveringhouse, was in foul trouble, and so Keira had to defend the 5. And we talked a little bit about earlier how much of a change that is, because last year Keira was guarding the other team's point guard. This year she's guarding, sometimes they're 4, and in that game they're 5, and really did a nice job defensively rebounding for us. Denver's a team that usually averages 14, 15 offensive rebounds a game. I was surprised when I saw the stat sheet at the end of the game. We gave up 6 offensive rebounds, and we held their shooting percentage down to 36%, and we turned them over. So defensively, we were very solid to begin that game. It felt like they got more offensive rebounds because it seemed like every of those 6 felt like 16 or 26 because it felt like they scored off of their offensive rebounds.
And J.C. Bradley did
a really nice job.
Yeah, J.C. Bradley had a nice game for you. J.C. Bradley had a really nice game for you as well.
Well, she did, and I think with J.C., I think a lot of times when you look at J.C., you think of J.C. as a shooter, and that's what she has done a phenomenal job of, and it's what it's her forte. At the same time, if you really watch our team play and you watch the movement on the court offensively, that's where we're better when J.C.'s on the floor. J.C. creates a lot because she knows how to move. And Denver did something that was interesting. They started the game by switching screens 1 through 4. Then they went to not switching any screens. Then they went to a zone. Then they went back to switching. And JC's understanding of the game is so important for us because she knows how to change her movement and how that changes our team's movement when teams do things differently defensively.
So you get that one under your belt, and that's a nice one with some confidence now heading out on the road. And there's going to be some quirky scheduling this year with one less team, and you get a quirky schedule this week. Road games Tuesday night and Thursday night in Fargo and in Macomb. So it's going to be a tough week for you.
It's a really tough week for us. I was just talking to our coaches, actually. There are 2 teams in the conference that have this exact schedule at some point in time in their season, at NDSU, then a day in between, and at Western Illinois. USD women's basketball has it, and IPFW women have it. So, right now we're challenged, and we can either say, man, that's really tough, or we can say, you love this. This is how you get better. This is when you show what your defensive work has done for you so far this season. It's time to take it on the road, and it's time to crank it up one more notch. And that's the way we're approaching it. It's really important for us to continue to play solid defensively. And last year was hard for us on the road because we were not a good defensive team. And this year, I wouldn't say we're a good defensive team yet, but we're a better defensive team than we were last year.
Let's talk about the Bison. In years past, it's pretty much been Taylor Thunstad and then a few other people maybe chipping in here and there. Seems like this year, Coach, they're making a conscious effort to really spread the ball around more. Taylor's numbers are down, but other people's numbers are up.
Well, they're probably the best offensive team that we've played so far this year. They score 70 points a game. They make 8 threes a game. They're scoring at a 42% clip from the field. They're scoring at a 38% or shooting from a 38% clip from behind the arc. They've changed a little bit of their movement, and it's made them tougher to guard. It's made them more perimeter dominant in some ways. But like you said, they're not relying on, okay, we're going to set a ton of screens for this one kid and this type of action. They space it a little bit more. They're more of an equal opportunity offense, which makes them a lot tougher to guard.
And like you said, the numbers are showing up. Plus, they're the most accurate three-point shooting team so far as well.
Well, they are, and I think they do it. It's an interesting team because they do a really good job of shooting the basketball, and on the other hand, they do a very good job of holding their opponents down from behind the arc. And that's really, truly a key in the Summit League because, and we've talked about it before, Jeff, how well the women's side of the Summit League really shoots the basketball. Mm-hmm. Those are very important numbers heading into the conference season. And for us going on the road, it's really, really important that we can get out and get to some of their shooters early. And hopefully all their shooters early. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, and they'll present you some challenges inside as well, rebounding, and then they're capable of blocking some shots as well.
They are. They average 4.6 block shots a game. They have some good size. They start a 6'5" post kid. They come off the bench with another kid that's 6'3". They have another kid 6'2", and they can play a couple of those kids together because some of their kids have, Riley Jacobson has good versatility, can play inside out. So they can really attack you in a lot of different ways. Their post game is unique in that when their post kid catches it, they have the ability to score it, but they also do a really good job with this team of teaching their post kids how to pass out of that. If it's a single team or if it's double team, and how they pick people apart with inside out passes. They do a really nice job of that.
You mentioned how tough North Dakota State is to defend. How similar will the challenge be in Macomb on Thursday in terms of the defensive effort against probably maybe one of the best offensive teams in the entire conference, and certainly what they've done so far this year with beating Illinois, beating Stanford, one of the best teams early on in the country so far?
Well, Western Illinois is a major challenge because they do something that's very, very unique offensively. They shoot a lot of threes, but they do it in a very different way. They don't have a post kid at all. They open the lane up, and they get a lot of their opportunities around the rim in transition or by drives to the basket because you have to lock into shooters on the other side. If you don't lock into shooters, there's a flare screen, boom, they kick it, that kid's shooting it. So then you lock into those kids, and then all of a sudden the player gets beat on dribble penetration, and now all of a sudden they're at the rim. So they attack the rim and shoot threes in a little different way. So that's a major defensive challenge for us. And then on the offensive end, they run a 1-3-1 zone that reaches behind and picks at you. And the first time that we played against it, it took us a good half to figure out how to make the passes that we needed to make against their style defensively.
And then because they've got most of their main players back, you can go back to last year and pretty much scout this team off what you saw last season.
We really can. I think you look at, and I haven't spent a lot of time watching them yet. Sure. I have a hard time as a coach really looking ahead of the game that we're on, but I will say I've watched them when they played against Stanford or saw their game online, and they do seem to be running the same type of offensive and defensive schemes, and they obviously are working really well for them.
All right, so it's a lot of basketball in a very short stretch of time, and really it's your first road trip in a month. So did you have to remind the kids what it was like to go out on the road?
I had to remind myself. I told my husband I forgot what it was like to pack a suitcase. We were on the road 18 out of 32 days and like 12 out of 16 days. And at that point in time, I was a veteran traveler. Yeah. I knew how to pack. And this time it seemed like it took me 2 hours to pack for a 4-day road trip. And I laughed because when I pulled up to the bus driver looked at me, and I had a suitcase and I had a garment bag, and I said, listen, I've never been accused of underpacking, just for the record. We're going to Fargo, and it's cold. I have plenty of clothes. We laughed pretty hard. So it's interesting to get on the road. It's fun to get back on the road with our team. They have a lot of energy. We had a lot of fun at dinner last night. We had a nice dinner at the Olive Garden, and it took a little bit longer than it normally does. But what was good about that is we had a chance to catch up and hear about some Christmas traditions from different families, and that's the fun part about traveling, is that you have a special time on the road with your players and you get to know them at a different level.